Hey everyone, welcome to Kittatinny Woodcraft. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you how this table ended up this way instead of the live edge table it was supposed to start with. So, let's go. Here's the start of our show. This is just a basic pine slab that I already planed down. And then I went ahead and filled in a lot of these bug holes that burrowed through with epoxy. And to do that, I had taped Tyvek tape on the bottom. I removed it at this point because I'm going to be cutting it into its pieces now. And then I just measured out where the bottoms were going to go and then marked them out with lines. At first I thought I could measure halfway through and do it from there, but because this is bowed, it was actually better just to sit the tops on and then figure it out from there. So I'm going to cut these down into pieces, and then I do have to plane this once again with my slab flattener jig. Once we do that, I'll be able to put butterflies in these cracks on the other side, which is actually going to be the top, and then we can fasten them to the top. So I'm switching to hand model status for this part of the video, and I just want to show you what I'm doing with the tabletops. I was originally going to put in wooden bow ties in these three spots. However, after I routed out most of the pieces with my router, I then went and tried to clean the edges up, and I found out I really have to up my wood chisel game because these edges were getting ripped out more than they were cutting because my chisel wasn't sharp enough. So as a backup plan, I'm pouring these epoxy bow ties into it and then just filling up a couple additional spots with black resin that I didn't get from the first round. So I scuffed everything up with some sandpaper to give it an extra adhesion, plus it'll have the extra wood to adhere to. Once everything's dry, I'm going to go and plane everything smooth and then sand everything down, and then we can put the finish on these and they'll be good to go. So here's what the boards looked like after they were planed down. As you can see, I mentioned that I didn't chisel them into a nice smooth sides on the inside, and now it looks like there's these bleed over marks, which I really don't like at all. Also, every time I plane it farther and farther down, I keep getting more and more openings into the wood. So I ended up tossing these completely out and switched over to these tops. So even though I lose the live edge appearance, I get a lot nicer finish with these two tabletops. And the first thing I did with these tabletops was these came from a single board. So I had to cut a board into 3 pieces and then cut the one piece down into 2 to get me my final size. They were each cut about 2 extra inches to be able to really clean up the edges at the end. Then once I had it into a final shape, I then sanded. Sanded some more. And then sanded some more. And then once I was done sanding, I went on and I first rounded the corners and then rounded all the edges off. And then sanded a little bit more. I won't bore you with another clip of me sanding. And then ended up putting a golden oak stain on. And then covered it with 2 coats of a polyacrylic. this is what you get for the final tabletops. So now that we have these done, we can move on to building the legs. So here are the bottoms for the side tables, and all these pieces were actually milled from a 4x4, and these pieces are all 1.5 by 1.5. This piece is not cooperating with me over here. They're connected using just half lap joints. In some of the corners, I feel like it's 3/4, but it's probably still considered a half lap joint because of the way they are connected. The way I got these is I first cut almost the majority of the 3/4 of an inch out with my table saw. And then I went back with my router and a flat bit and just cleaned it out to get to the 3/4 inch. And then I connected these, sand them down using 120 and 240 grit. I only did the 120 where you wouldn't necessarily fill it. So up here and in the bottom, there was a few cracks in certain spots, so I went back and filled it in with the sanding dust I used. And so now the next step for these is I get to play with my inner pyro, and I get to put the Shou Sugi Ban on these. Now that we have both the tops and the bottoms finished, I'm just going to show you real quick how I'm attaching them. I'll show you a better view of the legs in a minute. So I'm using these little clips, and I've previously went in with my jointer and cut out these little slots that these slide into. And then I'm just going to attach them with screws, and then that way it'll hold itself in there whenever you go to try to lift it or anything. Here's the final thing all put together. I love the way it turned out. The colors work exceptionally well together, and I actually kind of like this nicer look with this base than I think I would have ended up with the Live Edge tabletop. So I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave any comments you have, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.